Good afternoon and welcome to the Database Administration Virtual Chapter Meeting. Today we are having a lecture on Advanced SQL Monitoring, and the speaker is Javier Villegas. My name is Julie Bloomquist. I'm one of the moderators for the Database VC chapter, and our meetings are sponsored by Dell Software. There is a large group of virtual chapters. Just go to your PASS login and you can associate your ID with any chapter. You'll be getting emails then about their meetings. Our meetings are being recorded and they will be posted on our DBA VC archive page. Here are some upcoming SQL Saturdays, both internationally and in North America. SQL Saturday is a one-day mini conference. It has lectures and vendors and multiple tracks usually on the different SQL topics. There's minimal costs involved, usually just to cover your luncheon. And it's, like I said, a one-day mini conference full of lectures. There are also a large group of local chapters. So if you go through where you can associate your login with a virtual chapter, you can also associate it with a local chapter, get the emails about the meetings that are coming up. It's great for networking and opportunities to present. And if you don't have a local chapter in your area, you could send in to PASS and start one up. There's also other opportunities for volunteering with PASS. So take a look at the My Volunteering section. So the PASS membership is free, and here's the ways to stay in touch. Javier has been a database administrator since '97, and he's served as the DBA at Mediterranean Shipping Company since 2006 and has been a PASS member since 2008. He's given his talk in his native Spanish twice, and we're thrilled that he's decided to translate it into English for our benefit. And here is his Twitter ID. So I'm going to change the presenter over to Javier. Thank you, Javier. And we will take questions primarily at the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Julie. Well, hello, everybody. As Julie mentioned, my name is Javier Villegas. I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And today we're going to be talking about SQL Advanced Monitoring and some techniques that I use as a production DBA. Well, I am a DBA since a long time ago, starting with SQL 6.0 and going all the way through SQL 16. I am DBA at Mediterranean Shipping Company and a PASS member since 2008. Here you have all my contact information, Twitter, LinkedIn, and my blog. I write in both English and Spanish, so feel free to reach me at any time about this presentation or any other topic you may want to discuss. This is the agenda that we will cover in today. Basically, we're going to be talking about all these 4 topics: analyzing SQL activity, continuous monitoring with extended event, proactive monitoring, and also some auditing technique. Something to mention here is that all these scripts that you're going to see and all this presentation is fully covered with SQL Server, right? You don't have to go to any additional third-party tools. You're going to see that within the box, we're going to have all these tools to do monitoring and quite deep, right? This is also the way I start doing my troubleshooting when I have some issue, right? When I get a call or something, this is the tools that I mostly use. Let's start with the first one, and we're going to be analyzing the SQL activity. I have created over the year a store procedure called SPDBI, currently exec, which basically what it does is that we can run it at any time, and we're gonna get a picture of what the server is doing, the SQL instance is doing at that particular point in time, right? It's like, you know, something that immediately we have a feedback from the server with all the activity, and very easily we can, you know, identify what's going on and start our troubleshooting process. We're gonna see some demos at the end. Quickly, we're gonna see on each row, right, which is an active session on the server, we're gonna see the session number, information about the CPU, the time that is being consumed by that session, information related to reads and writes. We're going to see the objects involved in that session as well as the statements, if there are, right? Also application name, host name, and some info related to wait stat. Then we're going to see that also in some cases we can see an additional result set in the output, right? That means that if when we run this procedure, there are blocks on the instance, right? We're gonna get this second result set with all the sessions that are involved in the blocking, right? We're gonna see some examples real soon. So again, we can run it all the amount of time that we have to, right? And, you know, get this picture. Now we're gonna have some quick example here. All those sessions are on my local instance, so here we're going to see some static one, and then we're going to see in the demo the real one, the one that we can get through real activity on the server. For example, here we have in the first example we have one backup session, right? In this case was running for almost 8 minutes, right? We have the start time, we have, you know, the wait type, and here we have information related to the login, right? In the second example, we see what I mentioned before, which is that we have a block involved in the instance, right? In the first results, we see all the active instances on the server, and in the second results down there we see the one that are involved in the in the blocks, right? Also, this procedure has some additional parameters that will help us to go deeper in the troubleshooting process in case we have to, right? The first option we have is with the parameter info equal 1, right? We get an additional result set with information about the instance and the OS, right? We have the server name, we have in which time zone the server is configured, we have the SQL edition, information about the hyperthreading rate and the max degree of parallelism, let me see if I can put some sort of a pointer so I can show you better. Pointer option. Okay, now you see it. The timestamp where the service was started if it is a cluster, the amount of core, server memory, the configuration in terms of max memory for the instance, if the server is involved in a sort of database mirroring or always on, we see the partner name here. And then regarding to the OS, we see the version, the edition, and also the IP address of the host. That's going to give us some additional information to continue with the troubleshooting process in case we are not familiar with the instance. And then we have other type of parameters which basically we can do some sort of filtering, right, by either application name, host name, or login name, right? If we just want to see the currently executing output, but just for a particular application name, like for example SQL CMD or SSIS, we use this output parameters, with these input parameters, and we just get the output with the filter that we have in here. Also, in the other example is for the host name, right? We can filter by host name, just show us all the sessions coming from this particular host name, right? So, as I said, this DBA currently exec procedure is something that I've been writing since a long time ago when I started having this needs, right, to have something quick to give me the first picture of what's going on the instance, and from here start the troubleshooting process, right. This code is gonna be on site. Is also on my website, on my blog, so you can download it. And also, since it's open source, you can modify it for your convenience, right? You can add stuff or whatever you want to do here, right? Also, this is similar, to the one from other mechanic called SP who is active, right? Basically, the core is quite similar. The only difference is that the output is formatted on a different way, right? For the DBA currently exec, I was formatting the output and the columns that I needed, right, just for my convenience. This one is also from, as I said, from other mechanic. It's available to download on the web, right? And is maintained very often with new releases. Okay, so now let's move on to another topic, which is SPServerDiagnostic, right? This is something that was introduced in recent SQL version, right, which is a process that runs in background, capturing diagnostic and health information from the instance, right? It is really useful because it's running constantly, and we can consume and query the information generated by SPServerDiagnostic and have a feedback from the instance about some potential problems or actual problem that we could be facing, right? So this is something additional to the previous SPDBA currently exec. So additionally, we can use this, which is configured within SQL, right? So something that we don't have to do anything on this. This is always running. So the only thing we have to do is try to understand what it means. This is what we're gonna be trying to do in the following slides, and then consume and use this data for troubleshooting. When we run this procedure, immediately we're gonna get an output with a few rows, right? On each row, we're gonna have a different component of SQL, and we're gonna see for each component, we're gonna see what the current status at that particular moment, right? For example, in component name, right, we have here all the components that we're going to be seeing in terms of system, resources, query processing, I/O, and events. And if the server is involved in an always-on availability group, we're going to see here the availability group name and also information about the state and the status. Here, we're going to see as an ID, and the description is unknown, clean. Clean means that the component is running fine. Warning, we can see some warning and errors. And then we're going to have the full details in XML so we can easily consume it. Right? We're going to see a demo in a minute. These are basically the information that we get when we query this process by using SPServerDiagnostic. Then when we open the XML file, right, we're going to see a lot of info, but mainly we're going to have some points regarding to system, resource, query processing, I/O, and events. We're going to see it in a minute. Basically, what I'm going to show you now is an example of, the first example is on a server that is all clean, right, plus the unknown. So the first one is, we will say, is running fine. We have the data column, right, that, we can query and get what we need. Here we have the component name, as I mentioned before, system, resource, query processing, I/O, event, and in this case, the availability group name. In the second example, we see that for query processing, there are some warning, right? So opening the XML info here, we can get, for example, the speed of the session that are reporting, are raising the warning for the instance, right? So diving deep on this XML, we're gonna see, SQL itself is gonna provide us with all the information for the troubleshooting process. We're gonna see a demo soon, and I have created something that basically we ran, getting the output from SPServerDiagnostic, and it kind of parse the XML, just showing up the critical information we need to be aware of. Right? Okay, then in terms of to do the activity, to see the activity on the SQL instance, right? There are some other tools like most of us are fully aware of, and we use them on everyday tasks. We have the performance monitor, right, which is useful, very useful. We're gonna see some stuff related to that in following slide. The Management Studio Activity Monitor. Then there is this SQL Server Performance Dashboard that is available to download from Microsoft with some reports regarding to the SQL activity. We can easily see it from Management Studio on an SSRS report. Right? Then we also have a SQL Profiler that we're going to be talking in particular later, as well as extended events. Right? So, any questions so far on how we do to check SQL Server activity and which are these tools? Then, if you have any questions right now, we can address them, or then at the end, as Julie mentioned. So, let's move on. Okay, the second topic in our agenda is continuous monitoring, and we are going to be using extended event, right? Extended event is a system that is in the guts of SQL Server, right? Which basically is a control system that allows us to monitor events, every type of events. Events coming from the SQL instance as well as the operating system, so we can do some correlation. This is something that is similar to the combination of performance monitor and profiler together to do some sort of follow-up. To me, extended event is like profiler 2.0, right? Most of us we use profiler to do some particular troubleshooting, but if profiler is not configured properly, we can introduce more problems to the instance than the ones that we are trying to solve. I hope this is clear, because this is really critical. If we don't specify the filters for what we're trying to capture with profiler in the right way, we can hit the instance too bad, and if there was a problem, the problem will be even worse, right? The good part of extended event that is extremely light, right? It's easy to configure. We can configure it through T-SQL or from Management Studio, and it's running also in background, and the performance impact is minimal. So that is why over the year I try to stop using profiler and move to extended event. We will see some demos how, it's very easy to configure and to use. So also Microsoft is not developing for or giving more benefit or features to profiler, right? It's kind of a static process, but instead in extended event, on every single SQL version they add additional events that are available for us to consume. So at this point, extended event is much richer than profiler, and we can collect events regarding to I/O. We can see execution plan. We can see deadlocks. We can see all the thing that we know that we see with profiler, but to me, much better. Very quickly, these are the components that we have in extended event. We have to define an extended event session, right? Then define a target where we're going to be storing the thing that we collect from extended event, or what we want to collect, then from which package or logical container we want to collect, right? SQL OS, SQL Server, there are a lot, and they're going to be coming more and more. And then the events, which is the data collection itself. I define this like the Windows in profiling, where we select what we want to monitor and see, right? Well, as I said before, this is to me is profiler 2.0, right? And Microsoft keeps updating this on every SQL version. It's much lighter than profiler, and it's easy to handle it because we can, with T-SQL we can query XML, and we really get a good stuff here. All right, we're going to see the first demo. And the demo, we're going to try to cover the first topic in the agenda, analyzing SQL Server activity with currently executing and SPServerDiagnostic. And also, we're going to create 2 or 3 extended event sessions, right? To capture SQL errors, to capture deadlocks, and to capture long-running statements. So let's switch to Management Studio. Okay, this is how I call it, right? At any time we call this, and this is running against my local instance. So at this point I have no activity on it, so we see nothing. So let's start generating some activity on the server. So I have here some scripts which will allow us to generate random activity. So give me a second. It is here. Where are you? Here. Okay. Here we're going to see that we're going to be hitting the Adventure Works database, and so far, as I said, I run it all the times we want, and right away we have the information regarding to the session, right? When the session was started, the SQL statement, right? We can hit it and quickly we see what it is, the database name, and also you will see that in between parentheses we have a number. This is the percentage of the transaction log usage, right? To me is important, right, to have it right away for a particular database. Weight type, right, program name, host name, and login name, right? Then here we have information about read, write, and writes to 10 dB. We can keep running this, and we get the statement that are running this one for 2 seconds. So this is constantly running. As you see, we hit execute, and right away we have something. Well, now we have this case in where we have a block. When we execute the procedure, it's detects that there was a block, right? So we see the second result set, right, which is, involving these two sessions, session ID 62 and 56, right? In the first column, speed, we have in between parentheses the number of the session that is blocking this one, 56, right? So again, we can go deeper and see the statement. If this is a procedure, we have the object naming here, right? So again, very quickly we can see if there is a statement that is running for hours and hitting the the 10 dB, too heavy, etc., right? So again, quickly we have this, and additionally, I have installed the one from other mechanic, SP who is active, which is kind of similar, right, to what you just saw, right? Also, it come back right away. So these are the tools to see the activity right away. Okay, let's switch a little bit to SPServerDiagnostic. Basically, what I'm doing here is creating a temporary table and execute SPServerDiagnostic, inserting the results into this table that we create. And then we do some XML parsing to get deeper information regarding to memory, weights, CPU intensive queries, I/O, and events information. So we execute this, and it's running SPServerDiagnostic, right? Which again is retrieving what SPServerDiagnostic is doing in background. Right? On this instance, we see that the status is all clean for every single component, right? But if there is a warning regarding to one of those, we're going to see the event described down here, right? For one for each component that we have at the top. Right? So again, we're going to run it again. This instance is local, so it's doing quite well. So we won't see any warning on error on the components, right? But underneath we have additional information, which is basically what is parsed from the XML that we have in here. Okay, let's switch a little bit to extended events. Right? Let's create an extended event session. First of all, let's stop the activity. We don't need it at this point. So, should be no more activity on the server, so we're good. And from here, we check extended event error. Here is how we generate the errors. Okay, good. Well, what we're going to do here is to create the extended event session and put it to run in background, right? As I mentioned before, we have the session itself. We assign a name, in this case SQL text and error, right? Down here we specify the target. In this case, I'm saying that we stored all the capture information under CTEM X event output. Right? Let's check for a little bit what we have on that folder. Right? We have these files, right? Which are the 3 sessions that I have at this moment running on the server. Right? And then we specify our filter. Right? First, what we want to capture, I want to capture application name, host name, database ID, the SQL text, the stack, and the username, right? For every single error that is raised on the server. And then I have some filters in the workload, right? I don't want to capture these error numbers because, in this case, I don't need them, right? So this technique is very useful to me when we upgrade our application, right? So when we have a new version of our application running, what I do is consume this a lot, because very quickly we can identify if there is an error raised by any of the objects that we just modify with the upgrade. Right. Also, this can, since this is running constantly, we can, query the output at any time, and, once a day, send the output to, within a SQL shop, schedule to run it once a day, and save the error somewhere, so the developers can, focus on the errors and fix it. So we have a lot of things that we can do here. So let's create the session. Right, and then what we have here is basically the same thing as we have for the SPServerDiagnostic. We create some intermediate tables, right, and then we parse the XML that is stored on this file from the extended event, and we get the output. So at this point, we see nothing because we just create the session, right? There is no error right now. So at the top we see the numbers of error that we captured and some information regarding to the session itself. And down here we should see more about the error message. So what we're going to do here is quickly let's generate some error. So select. So instead of type select, I will add a syntax error, right? So from my table. So now I just generate a syntax error. So we go to the extended event script. We're gonna read the information that was captured from the session, and we're gonna see it right away, right? So here we see there was just one error, which was a syntax error, right? And down here we have some examples about the error, right? When it happened, the first time it happened, I mean, if let's say that you have the same error more than once, right? We're gonna see that in a minute. But let's say that you have, syntax error for different part of the procedure or from different procedures, right? Here we're gonna see two examples of those of the statement that writes the error. Right. When was the first time it happened and the last time it happened, the error number, and then down here some information that will help us to do some tracking, right? The application name, host name, and the username. Right? So let's generate some random errors. So here we have a script which is generating a bunch of errors. Then we run this, and let's run it again. Run it one more time. Here I have some type of different error: invalid object name, invalid column names, division by zero, invalid parameters, etc. So we're just generating random errors, right? We come here, we check again. You see, it's quite responsive, and we have at the top division by zero 16 times, right? We have here two examples about the statement that were raising the error. The errors were coming from Management Studio, from my machine, and my users. So very quickly, we can have all the information related to the different errors, right? So it's very useful. I have one of these sessions running on every production server, and doing some analysis of the errors that we may have. Okay, that was extended event for errors. Now we're gonna do extended events for deadlocks. For deadlocks. What we're going to do here is kind of similar, right? We first of all we create the extended event session, right? For deadlock, we say that we want to capture deadlocks and we want to store it here, right? And then you can see down here there is a store procedure which is doing some XML parsing, right? Then we have a SQL alert and a SQL show, right? What we're gonna be doing here is that when there is a deadlock on the instance, right? SQL Server raises an alert, right? Which is going to execute a SQL job, which is mainly executing the procedure which is created. What we're going to have as an output is an email, right, with all the information regarding to the deadlock itself, all the statements that are involved, etc. We're going to see a demo. Hopefully, the email is working fine. So, first of all, let's run this and create all the necessary options, right? The session, the extended event session, the procedure, the alert, and the SQL job. Then let's generate a random deadlock. We open one session, we run this, and right away we should have one of the session with a deadlock, right? Transaction ID was deadlocked by a result, blah, blah, blah. So we got a deadlock, right? So the idea is to receive this email with all the information. Well, hopefully the email is working. It wasn't working before, but well, hopefully in few minutes we should receive that email. So again, very easily, right? We create the session. We can, do whatever we want to do with the output because it's XML. So we parse it how we want it to parse it. We see the output that we need, and we do our analysis and troubleshooting from there, right? There was another demo, but I'm gonna skip it because we won't finish in time, which is basically an extended event session that captures all the statements that are running on the instance for more than 1 minute. Right? If the server detects that is something running for 1 minute, it generates an entry on the extended event session, so we consume. We should be having this email. Well, it's not coming, unfortunately. All right, any questions so far?
There's a couple of questions. One is if you could send me the link to, or if you could send me the slide deck in English. They were having a problem finding the slide deck in English on your site, on your blogging site.
Okay, yes.
And if you want to bundle up your stored procedures, your English version ones, I could also post those or send me a link where the English ones were. Some people are having difficulty through their company getting access to the procs. On the SPServerDiagnostic, that's only for their current image, or does that also give historical information?
No, it's giving us a short window of information regarding to the problem. If the problem is solved, automatically it's gonna switch to clean status, right? So we won't see it any longer.
And then on the SPDBA currently exec, are the deadlocks showing up as the blocks?
No. We are just seeing this as when they are in the middle of the block. We don't see the deadlock information from the DBA currently exec. That is why we have as a complement the extended event session for deadlocks.
Right.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Let's move on and let's see if there is something else at the end. Okay, this is proactive monitoring, and what we have here is dynamic management views and PowerShell, right? Again, this is something that I created over the years for my convenience and to do my troubleshooting, right? What I have here is SQL shop that runs every minute in my case, which is capturing some information that is really useful to me, which will help me to do troubleshooting, but not just from what is happening right now, but also what happened in the past, right? I'm keeping like 1 month of data in my repository. Also, if something happened in the middle of the night, one report got crazy and it's running forever, or something happened at night, we can consume this information and use it, right? I'm going to show you something in a bit. Basically, those are some of the things that I get with this process. Once a day, I capture, the SQL Server and the Windows versions and editions, just to see if there is anything that was changed, right? That is happening just once a day. And then constantly, I capture information about the active transaction per second, active connection, right? And then what I like the most is information regarding to I/O, right? I mean, everybody should be, familiar with Performance Monitor, and the DBAs, we really use it to, in my case, to track I/O, right? Information regarding to the disk, right? What is happening with the disk, and well, this is really useful to find out to find a bottleneck in especially in I/O, right? For me. So with this process, we're going to be consuming with PowerShell, right? These performance monitor counters, and we're going to be storing them into our repository. So we do some analysis, right? So additionally, as I mentioned, this is something that runs every minute, which also runs currently executing, right? The procedure that I showed you at the very beginning, it's been executed every minute. But if it detects a block, or if it detects a statement that is running for more than X amount of minutes, 5, 10, whatever we define, it grabs the result set and store it into this repository, right? So with this, if someone tells us, at 4 a.m. this report that used to run in 1 minute ran for 1 hour, and that started at 4 a.m. So we go to this repository, we check 4 a.m. and it's like if we were there at 4 a.m. executing currently exec, right, and watching the result live. We have there stored, right? If there is something that is really, critical, like, more than 10 blocks, or the amount of block that we define, or sessions involved in a block, we get an email also, right? So besides collecting, right, we get alerts right away. Again, if there is a process running for more than an hour or something, we get an email with the details, right? We're going to see some examples later. Also, it checks the transaction log usage for all the databases, right? And if the text that is one database that is configured in full recovery model, then the transaction log usage is 80%, 70%, whatever we define, we get an alert, we get a notification, right? We also check with PowerShell, we check the disk space, right? We check for all the storage, this disk usage that is used, and the free space, right? So if we can define the threshold, but for example, if there is just 1 gigabyte free, or 7% or 5% of the total amount of space, we get an alert, right? Also detects, very useful to me, open transaction, right? If there are transactions that are open for more than X amount of minutes, we get a notification. If there is a SQL dump, right, we also get notified, and also store it, and also critical errors in the SQL error log, and as I mentioned before, information about I/O, right? The performance monitor counters, and also these latencies, right? And we're going to see some examples at the end, right? This is a sneak peek of what I do for proactive monitoring, right? This SQL shop that runs every minute, collecting a bunch of things that are useful to me to do troubleshooting in the past, and also baseline, right? Create a baseline to have something to compare with. Okay, auditing. SQL itself, it has its own auditing system, which is good, and in some cases is too good, right? But if we have something simple to keep track of, when objects are either create, drop, or alter, right? We have something. We have a solution with Service Broker, right? That we can easily implement, and if, for example, one user connect to a server, right, and alter a procedure, what we're going to get is, in a table, we're going to get two rows, right? One for the original procedure, and another one with the alter procedure, with the modifications, right? And we're going to have all the code in XML, so easy to replicate in case there was a problem and we have to. Right. Also, we're going to know at what time that happened, and also the login name. Right? We're going to see the demo in a minute. Going back to the proactive monitoring, this is some of the queries that I wrote to check the information that is captured regarding to the disk. Right. This is telling me all my disk. In this case, is average write query length, right? We have every 10 minutes for every single disk, right? The average write queue length. So very easily we have this, and we can put it on a spreadsheet and do further analysis. I will show you that in a minute. This is the same with this idle time in average, right? So for each disk, the idle time in average, when easily we put it on Excel and we do troubleshooting. Next. Okay, I was telling you that I capture information from the DMBs. I have active transaction per second, user connection, logical connection, batch request per second, right? And I have that every 10 minutes. So we can, generate this baseline to see how many users we have in the middle of the day or during the day, at what point of the day we have the most amount of transaction, etc. It's very useful, for analysis and to have our own baseline. And then, all this information that I capture with the disk, with this SQL shop that reads the performance monitor counter, right, and store it into a table. We can put it, for example, for idle time, right, on a chart, and quickly in a visual we see, for example, that particular disk, the T drive, between 8:40 and 4:10, it was running high, right? So we can do this further analysis. Also for latencies, right? We have a sneak peek of the latency every, a short period of time, and we can do it per disk, per data file, or whatever we want. Right? This is the analysis that we do with the data that we collect. Right? Let's do a quick demo of both things. I know that we are running short in time, but try to cover this. Okay, so let me close some of this. So, okay, let's, this is a part of the script that I ran through the SQL shop, right? So let's just running and see what we get. Right? It's doing a bunch of things in background, so let's try to analyze it one by one. At the top, information about the OS and SQL instance. right? Both of them here with the DMBs, we get active transaction per second, etc. Again, all this information is stored into a database that I call a performance point, right? And I store everything in there. Then here, for this machine has just one C drive, so all the performance monitor counters, right? And for latencies, we have a quick view of per data file, right, and per disk, the number of read, IOs, write, etc. All this is executed every 1 minute, and then we do the analysis we want, right? This is just a part of the thing that I mentioned, right? It's not include the alerting, but in the script that you're gonna get, it's complete, right? But just wanted to give you in few minutes what we do. The part that I like the most is accessing the performance monitor counters through PowerShell and get it within SQL, right? This is, to me, is huge because, as I said, I can do any kind of analysis I want especially with I/O, right? But we can also do processor, memory, and any other. I mean, the counters are all available there, so we can consume all the ones we want, right? So this is proactive monitoring, and for audit. Okay, let's do it quickly. I like this when we're gonna, first of all, we drop the existing database if it exists, and we recreate an empty one. Then we enable service broker, right? And then what I'm going to create is all these objects necessary for the auditing. Again, a table to store everything, a store procedure which mainly reads and unparts the XML, right? And then the service component, the service broker component, right? The service, the queue, and the event notification in here. So this is all we need, right? So at this point, on any user database that we have on the server, we have this auditing enabling here. Let's check what we have on our table right now, right? It's empty. So it's gonna do something. With my login, right, I will create this table, then I will, let's see something here, right? We have one event for create table, right? And then we have how we create the table here, the SQL statement, the actual SQL statement, right? But then we can go back and do alter, adding a new column, right? Then we can drop it. We can create a store procedure. I mean, we can do any kind of manipulation of our object, right? Tables, store procedure, columns, whatever. So then we consume this, and right away we know which event type was, right? The login, the database, the object name, and the XML data in case we have to, reproduce it, right? So we can, keep track if in production someone, modify a procedure in the middle of the day or something. So we have this, right? And honestly, it's quite light. So I use it a lot. It's nice because, it's been you have these few options to work with within Service Broker, so you can stop then in case you have an upgrade or something, and then when you start production, you enable it, and you query this table every so often. Probably you can do once a day and save the result into a staging table and then consume it, etc. So is very useful to me. And with this, we finished the presentation right? You have any question? Again, we can handle now or also later with my contact. But if there are any questions now, I'm very glad to answer them.
One was about how do you get the CPU total or the CPU for the SQL?
How I get it? Yeah, well, basically, from SQL itself, there is a DMV, right, Dynamic Management View, which give us the CPU usage for a particular session, right? And then with PowerShell and you know, reading the performance monitor counters, I read the CPU total and the CPU process counters from perf mon. This is how I get the total CPU usage for a particular point in time.
And does I guess it's performance point handle mount points?
Say that again?
It says, will the perf point proc handle mount points?
No, not at this point.
With regards to using Service Broker to capture DDL changes, what's the advantage over using SQL Profiler traces and or extended events?
You know, as I said before, I tried not to use Profiler any longer, so I tried to deprecate it just myself. You know, extended event is another option, right? But you know, just to have something simple and to get really what I want, because in this case with the extended event, you can get a lot of information regarding to the changes. I prefer just to, you know, get really what I need, right? Which is object name, login name, and the code, right? In case I have to reuse it.
Okay. Well, Javier, we really appreciate your time today and translating the lecture into English. I've sent you an email if you could send me the English slide deck, and if you wanted to zip up the English scripts or just point me to a location, I'll get that posted to the DBA Virtual Chapters archive page.
Okay.
This session is being recorded, so if anybody missed any part of it, you'll be able to hear it. It should get posted either today or tomorrow. Again, thank you very much for attending, and thank you, Javier, for such a great presentation.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you, everyone.